Going to be a small chill group here today, but I'm fine with that. It's CyberBuzz Radio. My name is Crimson Clad. I'm here. I'm alive. This is happening. It's working. Let's hope everybody can see all the things and hear all the stuff. And we have a good time today. I'm going to do an 80s workout with you. Abso-fucking-lutely. So, I mean, hi. Here we are. We're alive. And check this out. Not one, but two guests here on the production couch today. My lighting is off, but I can't find the controller that actually makes it the regular colors, so we're not doing that. Today's motto, let's all kind of internalize this right now today. Today's motto is, but we're not doing that. And that is meant well with all love and all sanity. But let's be realistic. Today has been a shit show. The markets reflect it. My life reflects it. Everything is I'm greasy. I'm so greasy. I needed to have a shower. I was wearing a toque the last couple days, and Everything is wrong, but it feels so right. So we're going to do CyberBuzz today. And hopefully we have some fun, and hopefully we lure some people in here. And yes, Synthwave is very 80s. We're often very 80s. But that track that I just led into the show with, and that I could potentially play as well during the show, because I think we're going to do a lot of music today. I think today's going to be like, let's get everybody's spirits up a little bit, and then and go from there. So that was actually Robots with Ray Guns. And so... track called Fire. It's a gooder. I'm happy to have you guys here. There's only a couple of you. But yeah, like the reality is today's plan. I do actually have some topics we're going to talk about, but today's plan is generally just like continue to apologize to my dogs. Just like that. And talk a little bit. I named the episode Let's Be Dancing Bears because bears are having a time. Bear market is here. Hi, Mascara. And yeah, bear market is here. We're having a time. And it's probably good for all of us if we can listen to some music, have a little fun. And I have some sort of lighthearted topics today and some sort of like funny, interesting topics. And we could talk about whatever you guys want. And we can also make fun of some other blockchains because that's always good. You know, when you're not feeling good, don't do this to other people. Like, don't make fun of other people. But when you're not feeling good, one of the best ways to feel better is to simply just find something and make fun of it. If you can't laugh, you're fucked. So we gotta laugh. So yeah, my name is Crimson Clad. This is CyberBuzz Radio, and I know more and more of you are starting to watch on alternative platforms. You have a lot of options. You are listening on MSP Waves, which is of course a blockchain-powered, Hive-powered social broadcasting network. It's a lot of fun. It's a great place to catch a lot of interesting shows, including mine and also my other one when I'm able to do it, which is Full Force Radio. But you can go there. You can check out the whole schedule at mspwaves.com. However, you have many options. I mean, I like to take care of you, friends. And so I'm going to enable the chat timers, and I'm going to hope to God that I don't spam you guys again with like 6 trillion invites to my Discord. But I guess you just got to come to my Discord. So the reality is you have many other places to watch. Vim TV, another Hive-powered option, live streaming video, great fun. Trovo is a mobile-centric platform for gaming. And of course, Theta TV. You need a bot command. I think I actually do have one. Let's just try it out. Let's see what happens if I do this. There it is. There is. I've got one. Oh gosh, and it's going to happen all over the place. I'm sorry, but there you go. I actually do have a bot command for it. Okay, so with that being said, then of course you can watch in any of the standard places. So people who do actually prefer Twitch and YouTube, you can. So here's the problem is I haven't figured out how to not get it to spam. It goes on every platform. So I'll use that command and it'll happen on Twitch, and then it will happen on YouTube, and then it will happen on like... Oh, I have one of those, Ron. I just turned them off on Crimbot. I made one of those. You remember that. I had a bunch like that. But I mean, I can do that. And I have a bot command. Like, that's what I'm saying. You don't fully understand. That command just goes to all platforms. The problem is they all get to come back here. Hello, this is Lolo. Hi, Inertia. So speaking of Lolul's or Lulus, there's a Lulu on the couch. Yeah, okay, I'll recode my bot, okay? Just leave me alone. You're a problem, and I don't care. All right, so that's fine. There is a bot command, and I will make one, because it's fine. It's already made. You're just, oh, God, you're a problem. Okay, so here are my dogs. Let's see if we can, hold on, get them. There they are. Look at how miserable they are. So, quick update at the start of the show, because nobody actually cares about me, and that's fine. That's not making fun of you, Ron. I could burn you savagely, but like I said at the beginning of the program, we don't make fun of other people. We just make fun of circumstances. And yours are living in a basement. I'm sorry. So listen, here are my dogs. They are miserable, but you will see Lulu is here. Murphy is here. So this morning, as the start of the update to the show, because people only care about the dogs, we'll give them some more treats as apologies. There we go. All right, so I took my dogs to the groomers this morning. Now, Murphy is sort of getting used to it. Look at how sleek and shiny he is. Lulu, Lulu is an Iranian street dog for anybody catching up late. So this is Lulu, looking all cute. She's usually not here. We're getting somewhere. Lots of good things have been happening. Lots of progress has been made. And as such, I thought, maybe the groomers is going to be a good idea. It was not! So, I took Lulu to the groomers alongside Murphy this morning. They both got baths and trimmed and tidied and ears cleaned and feet cleaned and fur cleaned and the blowout and everything. Oops, now I fucked up my camera. And so, all the things that a dog would need at the groomers. And I was unceremoniously told when I picked her up, don't bring her back. My groomers are amazing. And they gently suggested, hey, it's Triskel. Do you want me to call you Triskel or do you want me to call you Fritro? Either way, I'm happy to have you. Yeah, okay, groomer. Exactly. Thank you, Inertia. They're lovely ladies. You know, I bought them Christmas presents. They're really nice people. They deal with Murphy because I don't want to deal with Murphy. I think I've told you guys this. This is not very tech, but we'll start with this. I need some sort of dog washing robot that has no soul that can handle the fact that he's just screaming bloody murder. Murphy, when Murphy goes to the groomer and you start to put water on him, he screams. And he screams like a woman. And he screams like a woman being murdered in a slasher flick. And it is unbelievable. And so the first few times that I took Murphy, I used to take him to one of those sort of public U-bathe things. And he would sit in the tub and he would scream at the top of his lungs like I was, you know, forcibly just slitting the throat of another customer in the back of the fucking PetSmart. And people would come and they would be like watching through the shelves. Like they think I'm murdering an animal or a human or something. So, you know, people would come and they would have like, I don't know, like a can of dog food in front of them. And they would be like, I'm just buying this. And they would wander by, you know, pretending not to look at us. But of course, and then they come by and, you know, then they're laughing their faces off and they say, fuck you, just fuck you. Okay. So I gave up on this. And so I started taking him to a groomer, and that was it. It was amazing. He went away stinky. He comes back clean, and it's magical. So I thought, you know, Lulu, she stinks. She's gross. She came off the streets. She's kind of a mess. She's very fuzzy. She sheds everywhere. Her nails are out of control. I'll just take her to the groomer. Thought 6 months. She's been with me 6 months now. 6 months has to be enough time that she'll be okay, right? She'll be comfortable with it. She sometimes tolerates other people. She's met other people. She's starting to be a real dog. It'll be fine, right? It's not fine. It's not fine at all. So yes, today my groomers, right before the show, right before I was supposed to prep everything, I went to go pick her up and my groomers were like, so, you know, we're not going to make another appointment for Lulu. And I was like, oh, no. And they said, oh, yeah, you know, she managed to dislodge a bunch of the caulking in our bathtub and the flailing. She's like, she's going to hurt one of us or herself. And I was like, oh, man, these women take no shit. These are tough broads who know how to deal with dogs. Like, this is probably pretty bad. So the suggestion was they would like me to fill her full of drugs and then take her to a public bath, bathe her, and then bring her to them and they'll brush her. So they're like, we can't do it. You need to go publicly suffer and be shamed with your animals. So anyways, the long and the short of it is they're both up here. They're both sulking. They're both very upset at me because grooming once a month, absolutely unreasonable. So through the course of today, as we talk about blockchain stuff and we talk about Hive and we listen to some music and we have a little dance party, the Dancing Bears party, I will continue to feed them treats and I will attempt to rebuy their love. That's how today is going. Correct? Correct. Okay, hey, Vaquero, I haven't seen you in ages. I'm so glad you're here, man. It's not you, it's me. I suck. So, for everybody who's catching up and hasn't been around lately, I am happy to say I got lots of good synthwave music today, and I have a couple different topics that I want to talk about. But one of them might be the fact that Solana has been having some issues. I thought we could talk a little bit about that. And, you know, forget the elephant in the room. The bear in the room is crypto prices right now. So I'm sure I'm sure that most of you have noticed the crypto market and what is happening. Now, it's quite funny because in my life, obviously, you guys are here. You know that I talk a lot about crypto. I often evangelize about either crypto or self-sovereignty or, Hive or Bitcoin or whatever. Hey, Mr. D, thanks for joining us. There are many things that I talk about, that I teach about, that I, engage in conversation about. And certainly the crypto space is one of them. And so a lot of people who over the years have sort of come to, especially through this last market cycle, who have entered into the space tentatively, getting a lot of texts. Now, I don't know if you guys are like this, but so the normies in your life who have taken that first step, now you are getting, and I'm sure Neil is getting this, no doubt, getting some of these texts. A really popular one is, I should sell now before I lose it all, right? Welcome to crypto winter. And so I've been getting a lot of that this week. And so one of the things that I think is really interesting, and that I think I need to take into effect, and I'm sure many of you guys have your own ways of dealing with this, is helping people understand the idea of impermanent loss, or helping people understand the idea of that, yeah, you know what? Mascara, great point. You gotta love HBD right now. It's actually doing the thing. Look at another Russian bot. Guys, I'd like to say that we're blocking them on YouTube. We are blocking them in chat, and I'm deleting them. I'm sorry, guys. The Russian bots really love me, and I like to think that's because we have lively chatter here on this channel. Little do they know, you guys are all too smart to click that link. So, this is one of those things where I'm getting more and more and more texts, and people are starting to go, well, I'm going to lose it all. I have to sell now, or it's already all gone. I got to get what I can get. And so I thought today we might talk a little bit about, how do you guys deal with that? If this topic comes up, whether it's for yourself or for someone else, do you have a way of sort of shaping your thinking that helps you remember that these are not real tangible fiat dollars, and they don't work that way, and we don't want them to work that way. And that's a really sort of interesting way of approaching things. And so, to most of the text, my answer has simply been, hey, if you do not sell these tokens, these coins, these assets for lower than you bought them for, you didn't lose anything. If you close your laptop right now and you go for a walk, you lost nothing. Market swings are scary. Shadows Pup just wrote about this today. Please feel free to drop that in the chat. It's so hard to help people, especially, and we know, we experience this. We've all done it. You guys are all the backbone of the crypto space now. It's hard to watch that number go up, and then flip your thinking to, oh, wait, number can go down too. And if number can go up that fast, number can go down that fast. Swings in crypto. Yeah, go ahead, please. Go ahead and drop your post, you guys. I'm happy to have them. Crypto is one of those fascinating things where right now it is sort of so much more vibrant than the traditional stock market. You can have swings that in a day in crypto you wouldn't see in a year in the stock market. And of course, one of the other things that people kind of forget is that there is a market crash that is beyond crypto right now, and that's a big one. And so it's interesting because I find that most people that I know anyways, and it may be different for you, are not heavy traditional investors. They don't know a lot about the stock market other than when the stock market goes down, everybody panics, and also we're poor. They don't necessarily even invest, but they just know that when the stock market is down, everybody is going to get a little crazy and things are going to be bad. Bad times are coming. That's what people know. That's what most indicators are. And so it's quite funny to hear people who are so hyperbolic about crypto who are not paying attention to the stock market just over there, which is absolutely cratering also. I find it very interesting. And so I thought today maybe, we could talk a little bit. This is awesome. Thanks, guys. I thought we could talk a little bit. Yeah, we'll talk about that too, Trinkowski. I I thought we could talk a little bit about how to sort of weather these bear markets mentally, because obviously now the time is here, the preparation is here. And for a lot of people, especially if they got in on that last upswing, where some of us who maybe have done this before saw some signs to like pull back a little or be a little careful. These are people who mentally are really struggling right now. Just no understanding whatsoever of some of the implications here. So I thought we could talk a little bit about that today, because bear market, some of your plans and, some of the things that are positive about a bear market, if you have any. And otherwise, yes, I thought we could talk a little bit about Solana, because, one of the biggest things in this space, and one of the things that we talk about time and time again, who is Yaziris? I'm going to say your name wrong, but I'm going to say it with some flair, because that's what we do here. Yaziris, welcome. So yeah, we'll talk about that. And then we'll talk a little bit about how, we talk about Hive on this show a lot. Obviously, it's a Hive-centric show that's kind of grown into a bigger, broader monster that's just fun now. But when we talk about it, we often really focus in on the fast and the free and all of the things that Hive does right. It's so interesting that Hive does so many things right. Does a lot, just Yaz, love it. Hive does a lot of things wrong, obviously, 5 years in, and we still, as much as there is sort of a healthy overall upwards trend, it's not healthy, and it could be better. There's lots of things that Hive does wrong. Fair. But there are a lot of things that Hive does right, and there are a lot of things that Hive does right that other chains are still trying to figure the fuck out. And so when things like this whole Solana situation comes up, it's really fascinating to see, why doesn't Hive get it today in the face of what's happening over there? And so I thought we could talk a little bit about that today. And then I have a couple other things. I have some silly social media to show you guys. And then the last thing is, because we often do talk about VR on this show a lot, it goes hand in hand with a lot of the themes and the subject matter and the aesthetics and the sound of the show. There is some hilarious VR stuff in the public eye right now that I thought we could chat a little bit about, and sort of some of the previous iterations of immersive social gaming, and where they went and where they could go, and some of the news with that, and sort of compared to the main players in the VR, AR, metaverse space right now. So the dogs are falling asleep. That's a good sign. Well, Lulu's throwing me some side-eye shade, but that's a good sign. And I have lots of fun music for you guys today. I do. I got lots of great stuff. So I'm excited. I'm going to play you guys some Synthwave. We're going to have a chill day today. We're going to, this is a safe space. If you want to yell about what's going on with the crypto markets or the markets in general, you could do it here. We'll talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. And then I've got some Hive stuff coming up and some interviews coming up and sort of fun guests. And we can talk about that. We could just listen to a lot of music and we'll all be dancing bears. Because we got to do something until the next cycle happens. All right, so my name is Crimson Clad. This is CyberBuzz. And let's see, what do I have? What do I have for you guys today? Oh, Lord. Okay, so let's just take a peek here. Let's go back to date added so I can get the pieces that I added today. Can we do it? Maybe we can do it. There we go. Okay, so I want to play some more new... I want to play some more new tracks for you. But we're going to start with an artist called Crockett. It's super, super high 80s camp. It's great synthwave. And it's called Wiretap. Since we've been talking a lot about dystopian topics recently, and like last week we were talking about electric snow because my life has been made hellish by inclement weather here in Vancouver. Today is sunny and beautiful. If you look out this window here, you could almost believe that absolutely nothing has been wrong. And that's the way we like it. That's the way it'll stay. Everybody over on the East Coast is freezing their kitties off, aren't you, Shadows Bomb? Hey, Green Gold! And that's fine. So today's dystopian tie-in will be this track. It's called Wiretap. It's off an album called The Heist. It is the perfect sort of example. is the perfect sort of example of that outrun aspect of synthwave, that idea of you're driving in your 80s Lambo, lit by neon overhead lighting, and the palm trees are flying by, and it's night, and I don't know, fucking you're being chased by, who was an 80s heartthrob in this kind of venue? I don't fucking know. MacGyver's after you. Whatever. Listen, it's good music. We'll start here. We will get deeper into CyberBuzz. We got lots of stuff going on. And stick around, because I got you guys for like an hour and a half. It's going to be fun. There you go. All right, so hey, welcome to everybody who's just joining us. I saw Earth Guy hopped in. Thank you for We Love the Truth, rocked up and subscribed. Hey, welcome. Glad to have you guys. So here is the deal. Here's the deal. Earth Guy was saying, hey, do you take song requests? Well, first of all, welcome. My name is Crimson Clad. This is CyberBuzz Radio. Song requests, weird thing around here. Hey, yes, Unarmed Militia. I haven't seen you in ages. That's exciting. Cool. Hey. So Listen, here's the deal. I usually pick out the music ahead of time. And there are a couple reasons for that. And one of them is, in general, I have to be pretty careful with what I play to try and not get my streams taken down. It does happen. I've had a couple of my very best shows nuked by big record labels. Now, here's the deal. I don't care about my streams making money, especially not on traditional social media. So when you look at Twitch or YouTube, every single one of my streams has a copyright violation. 1,000%. Just every single one. I make zero, even though I get great views these days and people are really excited, I get zero money. It all goes to the artists. And you know what? I'm fine with that. That's fine. You know, any revenue that I may make above and beyond that is also good because it helps me make more of these shows, do more talks, do more evangelizing, making more entertainment. But the reality is most of the time, I used to be really careful about getting perfectly licensed, always on point music that would allow me to monetize these shows. Fuck it. I don't do that anymore. These artists deserve money. If I make a couple cents here and there and then pass it on to them, that's fine by me. But I do have to be careful that my streams don't get taken down. And so often, if you give me a song request, what'll happen is it'll go into a big bucket that I will take a peek into. I'll double check if it's like something that I can make happen. And then it will pop up in shows coming down the line. So still possible. Not really on the fly. And part of my whole sort of ethos here is fuck you. I play what I want. You come here, I'll entertain you. But I'm probably, hi Marnu, I'm probably not going to do what you want me to. And you know, the sooner you embrace that, the better this relationship is going to be. I say it with love, but fuck you. I play what I want. So hang on here. We are continually feeding my dogs because I'm buying their love back. If you weren't here for the first top half of the first hour, I took them to the groomer today. It did not go well. The groomers do not want the stinky one, this one here. They do not want her back for a while. She was a problem. This one screams a lot. They have notes in their book. They're like, he's a screamer. And they were just like, cool. And now the dogs are mad at me. So it's perfect. It's perfect. Everything is good. Shadows Pub says, it's a mutual relationship as long as you want what I want. You can have it in whatever color you like as long as it's black. So, today, we're all dancing bears. I got a lot of good synthwave music for you. The crypto market is in shambles, but so is the regular market. And you know, this is really fascinating because I think, in general, outside of, you know, all of these things like, thank you. Every platform. I love it. Thank you. You know, outside of the fact that there are a lot of things at play here, a lot of things at play, and a lot of it is kind of US centric, the US stock market. You know, just a couple US senators have been fucking insider trading for years and years and years and are pretending now they're okay. Oh, dog stuff. Pretending they're okay with maybe banning that, you know, all that money is getting pulled out. Everybody thinks there's going to be World War III. That seems to be kind of a big one in the markets right now. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but there's a general concern that, oh, thanks, Julia. You were so great. See, she went and coded it. This is why Julia is the best coder, not me. Unfortunately, it's hard for me to code on air, I will say. To keep you guys entertained and smiling and happy and to be engaging, it's hard for me. I can do it. I did it last week when there was a spam bot wave. But overall, this is good. This is why we have good friends who are better than me at other things. Okay. So everybody's kind of worried about World War III. Biden is everybody's least favorite grandpa and is generally just terrifying everyone. People are a little worried about what's going on with Russia and Ukraine. People are generally worried about inflation. There's a lot going on in the past year, and all of those things kind of helped contribute to the popularity and this astronomical rise of the last part of the cycle. Keep clam. How can you be this beautiful? How is it possible? It's a good question. I think that there is an excellent chance that you may need to clean your screen, but I do love a good compliment. So thank you. So the deal here is Biden is doing lots of stuff. The market is reacting, and the stock market right now is most people's indicator of good and bad. That's really it, isn't it? Think about this in your life. Like for a lot of you guys, maybe not you because you're involved in this community, but for many of you, Think about, say, your parents or your older relatives or your coworkers or whatever. What is the indicator that things are going wrong in society? One would potentially be a lot of riots and protests. That would be a pretty good social indicator that things aren't as copacetic as they could be. And another is the stock market's having a hard time. We just know that. There's just some sort of unspoken thing in the back of our minds, wherever you may live, because I'm Canadian. We don't the Canadian stock market, nobody cares about the Canadian stock market. Absolutely no. Canadians barely care about the Canadian stock market. So when we say the stock market, we think about the US stock market. And most people around the world know that when the stock market goes down, shit's about to get wrecked, right? We know this. We just know it. It's a part of our consciousness. And so in a lot of our dystopian sort of retro future kind of jams that we approach and dissect and pay attention to on this show, often it is the traditional market has completely failed. Inflation is out of control. This is a pretty common precursor to all of our terrible, terrible dystopian future visions. We talk about that a lot on this show. If you were here for last week, we had a lot of fun talking about the 2000s obsession with cloning. We talked about old sci-fi movies, and especially old sci-fi movies filmed in Vancouver. It was a great discussion. But of course, that was the same sort of thing. These are these sort of future retro dystopias where money and inflation meaningless now, everything's moved to a credit system, like there are a lot of things that kind of feel eerily close right now. And isn't that interesting? Science fiction often reflects, this is another thing we talked about last week, science fiction often reflects our biggest fears. And so the way that we explore our biggest fears is we put them into crazy stories and we're like, haha, that could only happen in the future, right? And then we pretend and we continue the story and we're like, what would happen in that hypothetical scenario? And we turn it into entertainment. But in a lot of cases, it's actually us kind of exploring what could happen. Sci-fi is great that way. So here we are. I think a lot of people feel like we're on the verge of that. We're on the verge of something bad this time. And of course, then, yeah, you've got some sort of lingering military issues, and you've got years of pent-up COVID fear and frustration and a very depressed market because of, all of sort of the restrictions on that. It definitely feels like this next run and what's happening in the stock market is pretty scary. And of course, you would think that would be reflected in the crypto space, that people are like, hey man, fiat's a shit show. Let's fucking head to crypto. Now, everybody in chat is talking about Canadian maple syrup. I will say we do have a maple syrup market. Maple syrup is very, very important here. And it is largely controlled. The production is controlled on the East Coast. And if you miss this, we talk about this a lot. It comes up a lot, syrup and Canadians, because you guys are you're very racist, I'll have you know. But I accept you and your differences, and I'll do my best to help assuage your terrible ideas about us Canadians. We do have a maple syrup market. It is largely controlled back east. I'm not going to say it's controlled by the French mafia, but a little bit. And recently, there was the largest, most valuable maple syrup heist in history. And literally a giant chunk of our Canadian maple syrup reserves were stolen. And it was actually one of the most terrible and expensive, robberies in Canadian history. Syrup. I'm not even joking. This is not a lie. This is not an extrapolation. This is just truth. And then shortly after that, there was a gigantic butter heist. A lot of our fantastic non-hormone butter. Up here in Canada, we have slightly different rules on our dairy than the US. And so only in Canada. I know for true. We have slightly different rules on our dairy and whatever. So, Canadian, a lot of us like to buy Canadian dairy, specifically around sort of some of the hormones and stuff. There was a huge butter heist. Like a giant portion of Canada's butter was stolen. We've lost the butter. We've lost the maple syrup. Guys, I mean, if we lose the pancakes and the waffles, this country will be it will collapse. Canada will collapse, honestly. The maple syrup heist was an inside job. I believe that. Inside mafia job. And, you know, if I'm not back next week, it's because they got me for speaking the truth. So, you know, peace out. We're so far off topic here. So it's interesting seeing that in this space, you know, everybody is focused on the crypto space. They're going, crypto is crashing. And meanwhile, behind them, the traditional fiat markets and the traditional fiat markets and the traditional stock exchange is just on fire. You know, this is the "it's fine" meme, except instead of the dog being fine, the dog is panicking while looking at a tiny crypto chart, and behind him, the entire universe is in flames, just engulfed in flames. But he's very focused on just this one thing. And that's because, of course, we like to focus on, you know, new, different, dirty laundry. Another Russian bot. Blocked, and chat deleted. Sorry, guys, it's out of here. Okay. So, hi to PZ and everybody else who's just joining. So yes, the dollar, the euro, other currencies are being hugely debased. Inflation is out of control. Gold and Bitcoin aren't serving as proper hedges. We're just going to suffer, it seems. Well, Trinkowski, you're not wrong, but today's a slightly more positive take on things. We're definitely looking at what's happening, but we're gonna find some stuff to be at least a little bit excited about. And if that is literally just that I can get my dogs to not hate me and you guys can watch my dogs eat treats on stream, we'll take it. We'll take it. Yes? Will you take it? They'll take it also. Okay, so here's the deal. You know, the media likes to focus on the new flashy thing, and there is so much crypto hate right now. You know, one of the things that we've been laughing about a lot in the background, but that often comes up on this show, is the new narrative of people in New York are freezing to death because Bitcoin mining and cryptocurrency mining has raised the prices of electricity so high that people are freezing to death in their apartments because of Bitcoin. So I don't know if you've seen this. And then, of course, because we've talked about sort of our tendency to conflate on this show, we also know that that has now been attached to NFTs. So the new sort of like rolling argument that is everywhere is that NFTs made New York citizens freeze to death. That's just it. We've just gone from all these stages to where now NFTs are killing people in the cold. That's where we're at. And that's where people are focused on rather than this larger picture, which is pretty interesting. But so I thought today we could talk a little bit about some of the things that are kind of interesting in this type of market. I mean, we know it is a complete lie. You're absolutely right. It's a complete lie. But it's very easy to repeat something that is hyperbolic and like, whoa, in your face. And we know that's how social media works. This is a concept that many of you guys are familiar with. It's part of the reason that you probably come to this show, is that it's not as much fun to click on Bitcoin miners, content, other New Yorkers not using Bitcoin, everyone continues with day. That's not a headline. What the fuck is that? Nobody cares. Electricity prices rising during coldest winter on record in long time. Also, after prolonged infrastructure, stress, and in a time where many resources are struggling and, the country is destabilized. Not a good headline. Nobody wants that. What they want is pudgy penguins brought the chill. Somebody drew a cold penguin, and that penguin was so cold that he's freezing out the hearts and souls of New York, and everyone's going to die because NFTs. I feel like this is a topic we hit on it every week, but it's because it continually evolves, and it's so interesting and so stupid. So here we are. We are now kind of, I think it's official. Do you guys think it's official? You can write in the chat right now because there's quite a few of you. Do you think it's official? This is bear market. Do you think this is a light dip towards the end of the cycle? Or do you think straight up that this is it? We are now in crypto winter. And from here on out, it's going to be a long sustained drop and then hella sideways for quite a while. I'm curious to know, is this official now? Do you think that these cycles that we've seen over the last couple years, are they going to continue? Or is, depending on what's going to happen in the world, do you think that the ideals around crypto are going to start spreading? So this is where we initially were going to go with this topic. Neil says sideways for months. We'll see what you guys think. But this is where we were originally going to go with this topic. And that was that it's so interesting knowing this time around that a lot of this is coming from stock market fears and inflation fears and sort of fiat and traditional government fears. The people who often get into crypto are people who are like, hey, I would literally just like to park my assets somewhere where, maybe government inflation can't have an impact. That's all. Or I would like to be able to send those assets without the government getting involved. Those aspects of crypto should feel stronger than ever, especially with the money printing right now, especially with everything that's going on right now. It's interesting that the crypto hands are not firmer, right? But of course we know that in good times, weak men, and good times in the crypto market have been happening, right? Everybody can make money. It's so easy. Go on Fiverr, buy some shitty artwork. You're a millionaire now. Like, the sort of crypto ideals that a lot of the core foundational crypto user space have, not everybody in the crypto space holds them. They came in for a different reason. And that's okay. It's not wrong. But those people, there's a lot of those people. And those people don't really care that, well, I'm in an asset class or I'm in an economy or a community now that is looking to get away from some of this traditional economic infrastructure. They don't care about that. They're just like, oh God, my dollars that aren't dollars that I moved into other dollars are worth less of these dollars. So if I switch them now, maybe I'll save some of these dollars, even though I lost all those dollars. And at the end, I have less dollars. It's a problematic thing to help people wrap their heads around, for sure. All right, so Nurse just says it's the crypto winter of illness and death because, yeah, the U.S. didn't you guys get a super positive Christmas message this year? For everybody, have a Merry Christmas, but for most of you, it's going to be a winter of illness and death. Oh, sweet Lord, sweet Lord. All right, so, here comes the spam. I'm sorry, guys. It's gonna happen. I'm sorry. So Fruitro is saying that I think the real world issues facing these days will promote more interest in crypto, and I'm fairly positive. Yeah, you know what? I agree. I think the people who got in because they saw crypto, neat, new, money, richness. The people who got in and didn't understand some of the aspects behind crypto that are going to do well in this next cycle are the people who are going to discover and embrace, okay, now I have these tokens. I'm in this space and I'm seeing it plummet. But rather than immediately pull their stuff, they're going to turn around and be like, ooh, but over there is also bad. So should I move back out? The people who stop and think like that are going to be the ones that come out of this next cycle a lot better. So the big question is, how do we help people who maybe got in because they were like, Doge is funny, I like Elon, or people who got in because like, my brother said that if I buy sushi, pancake, floki, hip hop, polka dot, monster mash, that I'm going to 1,000 times and I'll never work again in 3 weeks. How do we start helping shape their ideals rather than just panic? Because there's fire on the crypto side and there's fire on the fiat side. How do we help them not just immediately burn themselves and potentially burn themselves right out? That's going to be the question of this next little bit in the crypto space and frankly, not the crypto space. Neil is saying pain is the best teacher. Ain't that the truth? And some lessons are very expensive. But my hope is, because let's be realistic, my hope is that we can birth a few more evangelists in this next time period. The people who hung on through the last crypto winter came into this next run in an awesome position and felt really comfortable and strong in their ideals and their holdings. How do we get people now who came in not any of those things? How do we help them move in that direction? Because that's a big thing. You know, confidence in a market really helps a market recover. And do you guys feel confident in traditional markets right now? Do you feel confident in fiat dollars right now? Do you feel confident in what's happening with any government around the world right now? And the answer is probably not so much. So what's the alternative? What's the answer there? And that's basically where the crypto space is going to step up in this next little bit. Okay. So let's continue on. We'll talk a little bit about Solana. I'll share some other stuff with you guys. I'll share nothing at all related. Yeah, I mean, Shadows, I'm with you. Hive is the best place to be. Depending on your goals, there are so many things that Hive is totally going to be able to do for you, especially in a space where we are trying to discover how to get around some of the issues that we have with entrenched tech, right? We know that's a huge problem. And we're going to get there potentially. Oops, sorry, guys. Sorry. All right. So with that being said, let's take another quick break because I have more good music for you, and we'll continue on. We've definitely got some more stuff that I could talk to you guys about. We will have some positivity today. We'll have some positivity and some fun things today, and we'll go. Do you think Elon will pump Doge again? I think Elon's honestly just an asshole troll, and he will if he thinks it's funny, frankly. But, it's going to be harder. One of the things that Elon is realizing is that after the first 2 or 3 times you do something stupid like that, people pay less attention to you. Man, oh man, we have short attention spans. So with that, I'm going to play another track off of the new Dance with the Dead album. And I don't, Shadows. I'll see if I can figure it out. It's been a wild week. So I'll go looking right now and see if I can hint at you, maybe, on that. Cause yeah, there's a lot going on, and that is a big conference, and they have some needs, and we are trying to work around them. So with that being said, let's play something else. The new Dance with the Dead album is excellent. So I know I played a track off it last week. Gonna do it now. Quickie called Firebird. And when we come back, I've got some more music to play for you guys. And I have some positive stuff, too. We're going to have some fun shit. Hey, Castleberry. And we'll talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. But, I mean, it's not all death and doom and destruction. It's only partially death, doom, and destruction. And how you deal with death, doom, and destruction is basically the only thing you can control. So that's what we'll talk about. Dancing bears, man. Dancing bears. There we go. All right. So there you go. If you haven't checked out that album and you're kind of like, what the fuck was that? It's something that kind of leans a little bit more shredwave. Dance with the Dead is awesome. I talk them up every week. You don't have to worry about it. But brand new album called Driven to Madness. I highly recommend you check it out. It's really, really good. It's enjoyable. And especially if you're a metal kid, a lot of you guys know me from the metal show. If you like sort of that crossover place where there's lots of good guitars and like heavy drums, but also super synthy, Dance with the Dead's your jam. Okay, so look at the dogs. They're being so cute. I'm sorry. Oh, what? It's fine. You're fine. Go back to sleep. So the dogs are being adorable. And we're here. We've been talking a little bit about how it's interesting that people are so caught up in the crypto market aspect of things, the crypto crash, as shall we say, aspect of things, but they're also not, sorry, we're just going to give everybody a seizure here with bouncing the camera around. But we're also sort of talking a little bit about the traditional market side of things. And we've been talking a little bit about like, how do you deal with that? How do you talk to people about that? What is the underlying attitude here? And where do we go from here? But so one of the things that Shadows Pub was asking is about the... Sold or oversold, it's hilarious. Yeah, man. So one of the things Shadows Pub was asking there that I thought I would address quickly is, oh, lordy. I'm sorry, I'll mute that tab. You'd think with the amount of DMs that I get in any day, you would think I would be smart enough to mute every tab. I'm not. You guys have higher expectations of me than not. But so Shadows Pub was actually asking about the Web3 conference. And the answer is yes, I will be speaking about Hive at the Web3 conference. I believe my time slot will be on the 26th in UK time. I don't know. I'll be doing probably a 15-minute talk. Doing a 15-minute talk with people from all around the this sort of Web3 space, and a lot of people who run projects, DAOs, different things happening on sort of these Web3 chains, and largely, you know, ETH-centric and ETH sidechain outward. And so that'll be really interesting. And a lot of the things we're going to talk about are some of the social aspects of Hive and this wider idea of why a social connected ecosystem, which you guys have probably heard me talk about plenty, including at HiveFest, why that is really critical to helping people understand, define, and sort of trade value. Because we know for a fact that one of the hardest things for people to kind of understand in Web3 is identity, ownership, and value. And that's what Web3 is all about. And arguably, that's what Hive is all about. And so there are a number of solutions that exist in Hive. And a lot of the time we think of it only financial. It's much like this crypto thing that's happening right now. The markets are crashing everywhere. Everything in the world is being impacted, but we're only focused on crypto, and a lot of sort of the media and naysayers are focused only on that it's happening in crypto. There is so much sort of skepticism and this building, rising tension around NFTs, the metaverse, these sort of big companies that are stating their intent to get into the blockchain space. And there's a lot of pushback happening. So yes, I will indeed be talking at the Web3 conference, and I will be talking a little bit about how the easiest sort of aspect of bringing people into the Web3 space is helping them understand value in terms they understand. And we can't use dollar value anymore. That's not what people want from Web3, interestingly enough, or when they do want it from Web3, they want it with all of these sort of social or technical trappings that come with it. And they want something more than what they're getting in the traditional economic sense. So that'll be interesting. That'll be on the 26th. It'll be listed on the website. There are many tickets available, actually. If you would like to get a free ticket and you would like to come to the conference, then you can check out, I want to say maybe it's on the main Hive blog account. If you want to go read about it, you can get. And that'll be interesting, frankly. It'll be really interesting to be speaking in a space where most of the people on the panels are Web3 entrepreneurs. They are, either well-known or names that are working on businesses that are well known. And traditionally, most of these people are ETH or ETH sidechain or ETH layer 2 centric. And that's going to be really, really interesting because for a lot of people, the idea of where Web3 exists and what Web3 is Ethereum. They don't realize that there are actually a lot of other options out there. So it ought to be fun. They've invited me back for a couple different things. So if I don't blow this up, you guys will probably see me at a number of their conferences in the future. And I will also be doing some work with them to help find more speakers and to get more people. They've got lots of topics planned. They run a really good conference. It's really fun. It's interesting. And we're stuck in this space of online conferences. So, okay. So I'll have more info on that. And I think there'll probably be, I think Brian of London will be giving a talk as well. So that's cool. If you can't get enough of me, A, you're insane. B, you'll be able to see my talk from this conference coming up in the next week. Okay, so one of the things that I thought that we would be talking about a wee bit more is potentially Solana, because Solana is one of those things where a lot of people kind of saw, well, this is it. This is the answer. This is the solution, and ETH, we don't even have to worry about it because Solana is here now. But Solana has been plagued with issues. And so I thought we might bring this up because a lot of people don't realize the important parts of decentralization. Now, one of the biggest struggles that Hive has, and you guys know this and I know this, and maybe some of the people who are joining us who aren't very crypto-centric are like, what the fuck? Decentralization matters. And the idea is, and the idea in this case is, I have a copy of this information. You have a copy of this information. Lulu has a copy of this information. Murphy has a copy of this information. And we're all in different places going about doing our own thing. Whatever. I step off the curb and I get hit by a bus. My copy maybe is gone. What happens if I was the only copy of this information? Hey, Sasha, good to see you again. If I was the only copy, and Murphy eats the info. Exactly. What happens if that was the only copy? All of a sudden that info, gone, right? This is the core sort of aspect of decentralization. But if I'm gone or whatever the case, I want to alter the data. I want to just lie a little bit and fudge things in my favor. Well, sorry about it. Lulu's copy, Murphy's copy, all of these other copies that exist, your copy, they show that I'm a liar, or they step in and take the, hi, Jesus channel. It's about halfway through. We got about an hour left to go in the show. So this is the core tenet of decentralization, right? Like that's exactly why we all sort of got attracted to the ledger in the first place. I don't know what the banks are doing with my money. I don't know who's doing what with these numbers because big corporations, I don't know how many followers I have on Twitter because Twitter just shows whatever number they like. Or I don't know how many YouTube followers I have. Sometimes I go up 100 in a day and I come back and I've actually got one less than I had this morning. It's very strange. I don't control these numbers. What if there was a ledger to just constantly show what these numbers are and everybody could have a copy? The core tenet of blockchain. So here's Solana. And Solana says we're going to solve a lot of these fees. We're going to solve gas fees and speed. We're going to come along and it's going to be fine, perfect. Don't even worry about it. Well, unfortunately, that has not really I don't want to say that hasn't been the case, but it really hasn't been the case, has it? So if you haven't been following this, Solana has had insane, massive congestion. And to the point where the chain is largely unusable. And over the last 2 or so days, the Solana chain has effectively been down. Now, one of the things we talk about on this show a lot is it doesn't really matter how many nodes you have. And we've talked about what a node is, a point in this network, many of these connected nodes that hold the same data. We've talked a little bit about, it doesn't matter how many nodes there are if they're all connected by the same, or they're all sort of run by the same person. So Solana, let me talk a little bit about it. Don't get too wildly into it now. But so Solana is supposed to be another sort of scalable blockchain. I'll drop a link in the chat for those of you who might not know what it is. So there you go. And if you look at this, if you are if you are one of those people who knows a little bit about Hive, you'll see, oh, there's a lot about Solana that sounds familiar. They're talking about, being low cost forever and fast forever. Boy, I don't know any blockchains like that. Decentralized and unstoppable. Not only is it ultra fast and low cost, it's censorship resistant. Boy, these all are pretty interesting. These all sound really familiar. These all sound exactly like what Hive has been forever. Right? Forever. So, the problem becomes here that it turns out that the main bulk of their important nodes and the entire chain essentially runs on 4 nodes. Now, 4 is a pretty small number, but not only that, these 4 nodes are deployed by the same team. And in essence, that means if that team fucks up, if something goes wrong, if something's not working very well, the entire chain goes down. And there's nothing else that anyone can do about it. Now, that's tough. That is the opposite of decentralization. And here is a chain that has a lot. Validator equals witness. Yes. Kind of. Now, I don't want to I probably shouldn't have brought this up because I should have realized we would have turned this into a show explaining Solana, and that's not really what I want to do. But should we do that? No, we're not going to do it. Forget it. The long story short is these guys make it pretty easy to jump up and join the network. They want to talk about transactions, but it's exactly as Clay is saying. The most important part of this to remember is that they are using smart contracts on layer 1. And what that means is they're not very fast and not very able to shut up, Clay. Not very fast and not very able to kind of react to some of the issues that may come up and how busy and crazy things may get because of these smart contracts, unless they have a control over the majority of the nodes that keep that network running, right? Think about it. There's a big problem. You are at work today, and there's a big problem. Now, there is a fire at work, and the only person who has a key to your work is you. The unfortunate thing is you maybe have left the country. There's 2 ways to look at this. You may have left the country. Is anybody else getting into work to fix it? No. Decentralization in this case would be much better, would be much more helpful. We could put out the fire because somebody else has a key. They can get over there quicker than you can and put out the fire. Well, the problem with Solana and the problem with a lot of things in general is that coordinating a lot of people or a lot of nodes or a large decentralized network can be hard. So Solana's saying, listen, we have to be able to react to issues. This core team, these core sets of nodes, we control them because we know we can fix things faster. You guys can all join in. We're decentralized. But at the end of the day, the control over this network relies on this one team. And they're saying that because they know if we got to fix it, we can just fix it. We don't have to wait for the rest of you. The flip side is, and this is where Hive has a lot of advantages, but also some struggles. What if we actually really do need everybody? What if we're truly decentralized and there really are nodes all over the place? And this really does require a true consensus. This is actually decentralized. Witnesses from all over the world, servers all over the world, people in different time zones, none of them actually working at the same place on the same thing, and no one really having control over each other's nodes. Now you have a problem you need to fix. How do you get everybody together at once? And this is a struggle because in general, will the whole project go down? No, you got a lot of people that are able to work on it. But for things like hard forks, this is a really interesting concept. Can you recognize and come together and make decisions quickly and deploy things as a unit? That is hard. People aren't good at that. And in a true decentralized network, that's going to be one of the biggest sort of struggles is We have to pick a time for a hard fork. We have to get everybody talking in the same chat. We all have to be ready. People have to do some prep. And there's a responsibility of every node runner to kind of get their shit together because it's decentralized. No one person can just make this happen. In some ways, that is a huge advantage. In some ways, less so. But in this case, here's the Solana thing biting them in the butt. If there's only a small set of node runners, if it's only really kind of coming down to these core 4 nodes that the whole chain is running on, and, we keep it that way because we can respond fastest and fix the problem. The opposite is also true. We have a problem that's been going on for 2 days, and all these other node runners, all these other people that are involved in this decentralized network can't help. The chain has been effectively down for 2 days because it is so congested, and they've just pushed, I think this morning or whatever, they've just pushed some more node updates and things like that. That's the flip side. It's really fascinating. But what it's showing us is there are really a lot of reasons that Hive is on the right path. And Hive is sort of this powerhouse base layer chain. It doesn't necessarily have layer 1 contracts, but there's a reason for that. And the reason for that becomes you can build an infinite number of layer 2 solutions on top of it, and you can decentralize those layer 2 solutions. So you have decentralization at the base layer, and that foundation is solid, it's fast, it's free, and it's truly decentralized. And then on top of that, you can build a layer 2 and you can do whatever the fuck you want. You can build a whole system for smart contracts if you want. And the great examples on Hive already. I mean, Hive Engine is one. Deluxe is another. There are more coming. You're seeing the Speak networks coming. But the reality is now Hive Engine's created a smart contract platform, and they started out, okay, we're going to run enough nodes to have this sidechain smart contract thing going on. And then they decentralized their nodes. And now, you can run a node on Hive Engine that also is running on Hive. There are layers to this decentralization, but there's freedom there and there's flexibility there, which obviously isn't happening in some of these other situations. So, as problematic as Hive can be, it's fascinating, and it'll be really interesting to go into the next couple days and this next week speaking at this conference to a bunch of people who truly just don't know that there are chains available for them to literally build whatever they want flexibly. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. Okay, so with that, we're into the second half of the show, and it'll be time to talk about some more fun stuff or take some questions if you guys have them. And of course, I will continue on, and we'll have... We'll probably have some more fun here today. My name is Crimson Clad. This is CyberBuzz Radio. We talk about blockchain topics. We often talk about Hive. We talk about the retro future, and we listen to a lot of synthwave music. Most of the first half of the show today was about my dogs, and I apologize for nothing. The little jerks. They're both here, which is super cute. Look at them. They usually don't stay up here, but now they're sleeping together and looking super cute. So we are going to play some more music. And in fact, what I'm going to do is I am going to play 2 tracks in a row because they're fairly short tracks. 2 different artists that I really like that I don't always get to play for you guys. So one is Ghost, but not Ghost from the... Yeah, exactly. Good job, Bolos. They're not impressed, so you shouldn't be either. So one of them is Ghost, not the metal Ghost, not the 12,000 bands named Ghost, but G-O-S-T. And I'm going to play something off an older album because I really like this sort of crunchy, like cyberpunk vibe of the early albums. The new album's great. It's really good, but it's a little more spooky, like dreamy goth synthwave vibe. I want to play something off of one of my favorite albums, Behemoth, and then I'm going to play you a track by a group called Ogre Sound. So I'm going to play them back to back. They are excellent. And then we will come back and we'll chat a little bit more here. So I'm going to play you a track called Rain in Hell. And that's going to be followed by a track called Negotiations Over. My name is Crimson Clad. This is CyberBuzz Radio. You're listening on MSP Waves or wherever. If you haven't rocked up and followed, please do. I'd love to have you back every week. I'm slowly trying to build back up the fabulous audience because things have been tough. And there was like a period over the holidays where I was not doing very many shows just because of the days and the weather. And earlier this week, I had a migraine so bad I couldn't even drive myself home from work. So forget that I fucked up a lot. Come hang out with me more. We'll have fun. You have topics, whatever. Let's jam. Let's do it. So here you go. Play you guys some music. I'll pet the dogs and we'll talk a little bit more because we still have like 45 minutes left in the show. So much time. So much room for activities. I love this album art too. It's sick. There you go. It just dies out of nowhere. All right, so hey, my name is Crimson Clad. That's Lulu. Hi, Lulu. Murphy's down here. Murphy, come on. That's Murphy. And if you can only hear and you can't see, hi, cutie, then that's okay. Just imagine a bunch of goobers locked in a room talking about the crypto space and listening to silly dance music from, I don't know, from outer space. I am... Look at them. Maybe they'll forgive me. Do you guys forgive me? Is it okay? Murphy, is it okay? Tails wagging. All right, so, hey, welcome. Today we have run the gamut of things we have been talking about. We have talked a little bit, of course, about how I took these two to the groomers, which is why they're here this morning. They're very, very mad at me, so I'm feeding them. I'm feeding them on camera to try and buy their love because I'm not too proud. I'm not too proud. But mostly we've been talking about how we are maybe officially in the bear market. We maybe officially hit crypto winter. And as such, there is a lot of panic going on right now. We've been talking a little bit about how, people kind of lose sight of the fact that traditional markets are also, hi Otto, been a bit. We're talking a little bit about how traditional markets have had a little bit of trouble also and are absolutely cratering. We've been talking about how a lot of that kind of is reflecting on people in the crypto space. And we kind of talked a little bit about, isn't it interesting that knowing all of the sort of bonuses that come along, with crypto when in terms of sovereignty and freedom and kind of moving beyond the ability of the traditional government fiat system and inflation and a lot of the things that are causing these market panics right now, crypto is attempting to move beyond that. Really it is, and so for people moving their assets into the crypto space, a lot of them got in because, oh my God, Elon tweeted about a dog and I'm going to be rich. But the bear market and sort of this next coming crypto winter is going to be really important to help these people shift their perspective and not just let them get back out again. I mean, obviously a lot of people are, and we don't care. A lot of us are like, yeah, get the fuck out. Who cares? Like, we'll take your cheap coins. Everything's on sale. Yeah, absolutely. Fuck you, got mine. But in the wider sort of space for crypto to really start making this difference that we want it to make, we want to help these people stay. We want to help these people understand that crypto becomes more important to you if you're not necessarily planning on selling it. And yeah, so Clay's saying the same thing, and that's where we started, is price only matters if you're selling. And for many of the texts that I got this week, the answer is, hey, you will not lose any money if you do not sell for lower than you purchased for. So just close your laptop and walk away. Understanding the idea of impermanent loss or understanding the idea of, markets. Hey, you found me. Understanding this idea that markets move, and that is really going to be a tricky thing to wrap people's heads around. Totally. So yeah, Neil's exactly right. Crypto won't be a hedge until it's actually used primarily as money. And right now, selling, she used the bad word. Is this going to be like a Pee-wee's Playhouse or whatever, where everybody goes, ah, and then I look over here and Lulu goes, ah, and the couch goes, ah. We don't talk about Pee-wee anymore. Pee-wee made some bad choices. Selling, ah. But the reality is that's absolutely true. And right now, people who have been in the market or people who have been in crypto long enough are like, yeah, I stack crypto now for a time when I won't need to sell crypto. I'll just use crypto with other people. It will simply be transacted because somebody else will want crypto and I will want a service and we will transact, and that's it. Or I will want to move some assets from me to my family in another country and I don't want to pay 10% fees and a wire fee, and I don't want to have to ask the bank's permission for my money, and I don't want to get investigated because I happen to send $10,001 to my mom for a down payment for a car. There are all these reasons why all of a sudden crypto just makes so much sense. But right now, primarily, people think of crypto, especially these new people coming in, the aspect of, I'm going to get rich. The other thing is, it doesn't mean anything till I sell it, so I have to sell it. That's the attitude we have to tackle. And believe it or not, a bear market, a crypto winter, is a really good time to find the people who are ready to start thinking that way. Sounds crazy, But there are all these people that came in and who maybe even have a little bit of reliance on sunk cost fallacy. They're panicking, right? Like they're thinking, I put this money in and it's gone and I lost it, even though they didn't because they haven't sold. But they're going to be a little more open to the idea of, okay, well, you're already in, so now what? Rather than just sell back out, so now what? And those are the people that are probably going to start paying a little more attention, hopefully. But one of the things that I said we were going to talk about is we're going to do, yeah, exactly, Polos. One of the things we're going to do is we're going to try and stay a little more positive. And one of the things that I thought was really interesting and that I thought we could quickly kind of look at is we talk about VR a lot on this show. We talk about sort of the retro future aesthetic. But one of the most fun and interesting things that's happening right now is VR. We think of solely as like goggles, virtual reality. We are immersed in an environment that is being projected on our eyeballs that doesn't exist. No problem. But before there was a VR in terms of the way that we think of VR now, there were immersive things, immersive games, immersive environments, immersive experiences that kind of were like baby's first VR. And one of the most sort of, one of the most great, easy to understand examples was Second Life. Do you guys remember Second Life? Hey, Grinner, I don't think I've ever seen you here before. So do you guys remember Second Life? It was like The Sims, but on crack, or like EverQuest, but just genuinely you rock up and you buy a house. Speaking of rocking up, thank you, my dear. You buy a house, you get a job, you start selling goods. You literally had a second life, but you didn't necessarily look like you unless you wanted to. You didn't go to the same places. You didn't live in the same place. You had a virtual second life, right? Second life. Well, it's interesting because that was essentially virtual reality for a lot of people. And even to this day, it sort of is. And one of the most interesting things that's been happening recently that I've really been sort of enjoying exploring anyways, because I never gone into Second Life. I mean, even The Sims, you guys probably maybe played The Sims, maybe you didn't. I mean, I played like Roller Coaster Tycoon. The Sims, you just give yourself all the money with a cheat and then you'd build a giant house and eventually you get really tired of it. So you'd build a pool, you'd put all your Sims in the pool, you'd take out the ladder, they'd all die, and then your house would be haunted by ghosts. No? Anybody? So, I mean, those kind of games like never really were my wheelhouse. And actually there are a bunch of people like SimGirl and Snook. They are like the Sims masters. They do amazing things. But for me, like that was as much as I immersed myself. Second Life is like that on crack. Everybody literally made a little sim and then actually immersed themselves in a whole new life with this little avatar. That was a virtual reality for them. Oh, so let's see. Oh, this is cool. So, okay, Frito's wife is listening. Hi, and she's a real, actual, oh, and she's Brittany. That's so cute. And she's an actual radio announcer. And you actually, you had your own like real radio show. Oh no, now I have to really behave because the big guns are in here. Okay, girl. Well, you just send me all your good juju and don't be too ashamed of me when I do things that real radio announcers wouldn't do, because I'm not good at this and I'm making it up on the fly. So there's a reason that I bring up Second Life here, and it is because obviously one of the big topics that we've hit on this show recently when we talk about VR and the goggles, we've talked about Facebook's move into that space, this rebrand to Meta. Now, a lot of us are familiar with the idea of metaverse. A lot of us got into either blockchain gaming or we're familiar with something like crypto voxels and sort of these blockchain related or blockchain adjacent VR spaces. But all of the sudden, Brittany is my new guide. So in Second Life, you actually had sex. Oh, well, I didn't know that, and I'm not sure on the dynamics of that, but I believe you because you know what? It's kind of like with pizza. Any pizza is a personal pizza if you try hard enough, and we'll just leave it at that. So I believe you. But inertia. So, here's Facebook and here's Facebook's metaverse. And all of a sudden they're like, we are going to fucking just go hard into this. This is what it's all about. You guys have never seen anything like Facebook and Meta and our version of the metaverse. You guys won't even believe it. Like, it's going to be a whole thing. We're so excited. And so I thought this was really interesting. Jesus just completes the fucking triple play there. I don't kid, man. That's a hat trick. Jesus just got a hat trick. So, oh, Lord Almighty. So with that all being said, with all that being said, I find this really interesting because for many of us, the idea of meta is weird because we've kind of lived through the previous iterations of this and we've seen already there are some great blockchain spaces, right? Like we know crypto voxels is really fun. Inertia's saying it's all about transhumanism, and I totally agree, actually. So we've talked on this show a lot about VR and Facebook in the VR space and this sort of terrifying Ready Player One science fiction look at what do our lives look like with a corporate controlled VR space versus something like, say, maybe crypto voxels, which is still very much a player defined free space that is blockchain related. And that allows sort of assets and creation to be outsourced and decentralized and interesting, weird things. One of the aspects, and this is kind of where I'm going with this, one of the aspects is a lot of these new takes on virtual reality have a very retro feel. And so if you look at crypto voxels, it's kind of exactly the same as like why Minecraft is really popular. It has this sort of like 8-bit feel, but with this updated lighting and updated textures. And it's just this really interesting combination of new ways of building community and interacting in a virtual space, but with a nod to nostalgia in terms of the looks. And over the course of this week, since Facebook has been talking about Meta and Meta has been talking about Meta, and the idea of the metaverse has become more and more interesting to people, more and more popular, people are like, okay, well, we've never heard of such crazy things like concerts, and look at these people who are going to art shows and all that. And for many of us in the blockchain space, yeah, we know we do this. We build this. This is part of our day-to-day life. But for a lot of people whose only sort of window into the world of VR is what Meta puts out, there is this fascinating set of tweets where groups are starting to sort of promote NFT or blockchain related meta events using some of either Decentraland or some of Facebook's connected spaces. And so there is this really sort of fascinating look. And so here's this guy. I'm going to share this with you here in one sec. Here's this guy. His name's Alex Moss, and he's involved with a bunch of NFTs and things like that, and like the mutant ape. So you already kind of know where he's at. But he's like, this is in the metaverse right now, a live rave happening in Decentraland, Ugh. And so he posts this video, and it Decentraland and Facebook's sort of take on the metaverse are very similar. And so I'm going to quickly show this to you guys because it kind of cracks me up a little bit. So let's jump over to the browser and hope it shows up. Does it show up? Yeah, okay. So some of you are watching, some of you are listening, and I'll try and describe it. But one of the things that's kind of happening is here's this video. And here's what this looks like. There's some sound, but I'm not going to play it. So here's this live rave and, people are jumping around and like, oh, there's a screen. And this is kind of this idea of what the metaverse is right now. And he's sharing this and he's like, yeah, fuck yeah, look at this. Oh my God. And so this is what he's sharing. And so for those of you who are just listening, it's interesting. It's okay built. It kind of looks like, everybody's got the same style of avatar. It's very Facebooky in that all the icons are rounded, and it's just very sort of today's social media design. But the reason that I find this so funny is because this has started a whole sort of internet beef with the kids who live in Second Life, who are like, your shit is weak. Your shit is so weak. And so this is really interesting. I'm gonna put this in chat so you guys could see it after. But one of the most important things, and one of the reasons that the metaverse and sort of these spaces were important and Second Life was important, and Julia's saying Second Life's full of deviance, but a lot of people who come to these spaces are interested in performance art, in community, in interaction. And these new versions of the metaverse look kind of lame when you look at what's been being built grassroots by the community in the background, i.e. Second Life, because Second Life has just been maintained by users. I was going to say enthusiasts, but deviants, people who just created VR for the sake of creating a totally separate reality versus these big corporations trying to get into the blockchain space. And it's a very different experience. So I'm going to share the tweet with you guys, but then I'm also going to show what this looks like on the chat. So some guy was like, listen, what you're showing is fucking retarded. I don't think we can use that word anymore. That's a bad word. It's a shitty word. What you're showing is absolutely ridiculous. It is in the version of retarded where it means slow and kind of behind the curve. You're that. So let me show you guys on screen. I'll quickly play what's happening in Second Life compared to this rave that we just saw in Decentraland.
Come on.
I'm going to mute the sound for a second, but I let the video keep playing. It's a little bit different. Nightclubs exist, and all of the performance artists are actually people with, spaces in their home existing in a physical space, DJing in a physical space, dancing in a physical space. Like, when you see sort of what's happening in Second Life, which I think has probably given everyone a seizure now, so let's flip back. When you see that, and then you kind of see, interesting. Yeah, so Shadows Pub knows where I'm going with this. It's kind of interesting to see these sort of labors of love, these really pop-in underground art spaces, nightlife spaces. These are all being built in the spaces that aren't sort of corporate controlled. And I think that's really interesting. And it's going to be, much as it's kind of already the core idea of crypto, it's going to be interesting to see where these decentralized, grassroots, user-owned assets and platforms and these places where the people who are living in this VR space are kind of determining the direction of it, what that looks like, versus these sort of sanitized, corporatized, commoditized versions that are not as decentralized per se. Now, Decentraland, I don't know a lot about it, but let's talk about Meta anyways. That version of the metaverse doesn't look anything like where the people who are really enthusiastic about it have already taken it. And so there again is this big hump for people who are interested in blockchain tech. People are looking at it and going, well, why does this look like shit? This is lame. You have all the money in the world. You're making $1 trillion off of, pictures of, I don't know what, there's rocks. You're making rocks, and that's a hard thing to explain. And it's really interesting. So I'm seeing a lot of beef right now of people going, fuck you, crypto people. We've already built this. It's already better. Everything you have is stupid. And interestingly enough, this is a funny thing. This is exactly where I was going with the Shadows Pub, is the original, the original owner of Second Life, the founder, is coming back and he's like, hey, I heard what Facebook is doing. I know that Second Life is still this thriving sort of niche community. For many of you, I want to create a metaverse that isn't harmful. And I think that's so interesting because, in a lot of ways, Second Life, I would argue a lot of people probably could say it was quite harmful. But his idea is that I'm going to come back and I'm going to take on Meta. So I don't know what you guys think, but this is really interesting to see the crypto bros, especially the ETH-centric, Facebook-centric, blockchain crypto meta bros fighting with the essentially like furry strippers from Second Life, and they're arguing over whose shit show looks better. But which of those environments will create a more immersive or a more safe or a more decentralized version of virtual reality? I don't know, but I'm going to argue that, pretty much all of the Second Life nightclubs literally have go-go dancers who are, doing full body mocaps live, and DJs who are doing full body mocaps live, and, people interacting in a 3D space live versus, a little flying avatar and just kind of moving around in what looks like, an N64 game. I don't know, man. I don't know. All right. So I thought I'd throw that out there because this is a really interesting and probably ongoing beef that is, it's entertaining, but it's also a good look into how VR is perceived from here on out, especially by the normies, right? Because how many normies looked at Second Life and were like, the fuck you doing? There were a lot of Second Life relationships, marriages, people building their entire business in Second Life and then, carrying the products of those businesses out into the real world. And I don't know, man. That was as meta got. We've already done this. Like, meta is not meta. Second Life is already beyond meta. So now what? It's an interesting thing. So I'm going to keep an eye on it. I find it very interesting. And now here's the owner of Second Life, or the founder of Second Life, coming in and being like, fuck you, Facebook meta face meta, feta, if you will. I love feta. Fuck you. I am going to create a metaverse that doesn't harm people. And it's kind of like, but don't people get so caught up in Second Life that they just lose their homes and their families and forget to feed themselves? And interesting. All right, let's do one more track. I'm going to do something by a group called Savlonic, a track called Night Stalkers. We'll play this. Feta and pickle beets. Delicious. All right, so, Jesus, that's a great point. What is the point of a Second Life that's not allowed to be harmful? That's actually a really good statement, because the idea is when people move forward into Second Life and they create a space where interactions are more, what do you want to call it? More real? A virtual reality that's more real? You can and will get hurt, whether that's emotionally or mentally or whatever. But I think what he means in this case, I'm going to interpret it the way that I interpret it, is this founder is saying, well, listen, I'm going to create a space where you get to choose your sort of ability to get yourself harmed. Whereas I think he's suggesting that a Facebook metaverse, a metaverse controlled by these big tech corporations who already have so much sway and so much power over your life, that's harming you on a level you don't understand. That is shaping your behavior and your mental state and, even your ability to communicate with other people, your ability to what you want to talk about, what you want to look like, where you want to go, what you want to do, how you want to act, what you own. That's harmful in that they have full control over your behavior, where you go, and what you do. Whereas potentially something like this, Second Life, there is some control in Second Life. There are servers, there's whatever. But if Second Life truly desires to go into a space that is decentralized and kind of hybridize the traditional Second Life with a new metaverse, maybe you get to decide whether or not you want to be harmed by, what's around this space, because they're not doing. Maybe his whole sort of idea is, I'm not going to control what you say, what you do, who you're with, what you own, how you use this technology. Arguably, that could be more harmful, but is it or is it not a sort of foundation of freedom that you should be able to choose whether or not you are risk averse? Nothing about being free is safe. And that is an aspect of crypto that comes up a lot. But before we get too far down that road, just remember, the more personal responsibility you take on, the more you have to accept personal responsibility, the more responsibility falls on you. If you accept the good parts of personal responsibility, you are more free, but you're opening yourself to the responsibilities of responsibility. And that is a tricky line that a lot of people aren't ready to cross yet. My goodness. Okay, so let's do this quick track. Night Stalkers, my name is Crimson Cloud. This is CyberBuzz Radio. Thanks for coming out today. We're having a lot of fun. People are all over the place today. It's a bumpin' show. We've been talking about everything from, not really decentralized chains to how do we help people who are entering their first bear market? Do we want to help them? How do we help ourselves? What does impermanent loss look like? What's the mentality that carries us through to the next cycle? And then this last little bit, we've been talking about the idea of the metaverse and some of the interesting sort of things that are happening around our past virtual realities and our future virtual realities and the reality that we're in right now that isn't at all virtual. Where do we go from here? I don't know, but we are going to listen to some music. longest outro ever. There we go. So, bit of Savlonic. The dogs, I think, have forgiven me. And hopefully you guys have as well, because people are hanging around. We're having a lot of fun today. People are in and out. It has been a lively CyberBuzz. We've talked about a bunch of dumb stuff, and I hope you guys have had some fun. So, with all that being said... There it is. Oh, thank you. So Shadows Pub brought this up. I mean, I wasn't really going to talk about it today, but I guess I really should. So yes, I will be speaking at the Web3 conference. If you would like to go, if you would want to, or if you have any feedback, if you have any thoughts about, sort of creating and understanding value through the lens of Hive that you think you would like to... kind of hear me go into a little more detail on, then let me know. I've got 15 minutes. I'm kind of working on massaging this talk, but I think it's going to be a good one. I think it's going to be interesting, and hopefully I don't blow it. But I think it's going to be really valuable. So if you want to go check out some of the stuff that we talk about on this show, or you want to attend a virtual conference and kind of get a feel for it, there is a great link over at Hive blog. Bolos is saying that Lulu's being shy. Well, yeah, so for those... Oh, and yeah, Murphy's just a butt now. He's just a floating butt over my shoulder, which, frankly, that sounds pretty good. Doing us proud. You know, I don't know. I mean... It's tough because not everybody wants to talk about Hive, and it can be hard, right? It can be hard to be involved in a project that has failings that you understand and that has potential that it hasn't reached, but that you love deeply. And, I don't want to say like, oh, I've been around since the creation of Hive, but I have, right? Obviously. Just like many of you, pretty involved in sort of starting this all up and getting this going. And so it's interesting to kind of talk about it and get people's feelings about what it's like, and trying to sort of explain, well, there's a reason that this just hasn't died yet. So many projects that go through even a 1/10 of what Steam or now Hive has just fizzle and die. They don't support populations like this, and they don't support populations or communities like this without essentially kind of being a hyped up Ponzi. And so it's good and it's bad, but there's not a lot of people who either want to be doxxed, although it's pretty cool because they didn't make me dox myself to do this, which is nice. But it's like, it's tough because I think people both are happy that I talk about Hive, and I think some people resent that often, the face to the outside world is me. But it's like, I don't know that I'm pursuing that. I just think I'm one of the only ones who's willing to make themselves available for things like chats with exchanges and outside liaising and stuff like that. And part of that is just because I care. And it's been troublesome. It has caused more than a little trouble in my life over the last couple years, and that's okay. But I think there's probably going to be times where people wish that I was focused on different aspects of Hive, or that, Clay says that Hive is the redheaded stepchild of blockchain. Who else could be our face? That's brutal. Brutal, but true. So you know what? We have so many amazing people and amazing speakers and people who want to talk a lot. Awesome. Thank you, Inertia. Because somebody was saying, when Web 4? They're Web 4. But so, it's interesting because we have a lot of passionate people, and we kind of forget, Agrode is hella passionate, and a lot of people don't give him enough credit for his hustle. And, he's out there dropping Hive references all the time, and, Starkers, and They Call Me Dan, and there are a lot of people who probably talk about this. Brian of London is another one, and he's going to be speaking at the conference, like I said. But it is hard, for sure. It is hard to put yourself out there for a place like Hive or a DApp or whatever. It can be difficult to say, hey, I want to talk about this. I'm not the face of it. I don't own it. I just want to tell you about it. In a time where crypto is, going sideways or down, in a time where nobody knows about your chain, in a time where, people are scared to put themselves out there. And I definitely feel a lot of that. For sure I do. So, I get it. I get why it is how it is. So, be patient with me. But I am incredibly passionate about it. So you guys are stuck with me, I guess. And if are other places or other things or other opportunities that you've seen, or sort of, I guess, what do you want to call it, venues or opportunities to kind of talk to people about, hey, what are you looking for? And hey, do you think maybe Hive could fit in that need? Let's explore it. I'm your girl. So with all that being said, I wouldn't mind playing one more song for you guys, or I wouldn't mind throwing out whatever you guys want to talk about in the chat. But there is one thing that I wanted to share with you, and it has absolutely nothing to do with nothing. I got cut off? Did I get cut off? No, I didn't. Maybe the bot has gone poopy pants, but not I. So with all that being said, let's we'll throw it out there if there's anything that you guys want to talk about, or if there's any last topics that you guys want to talk about. But apropos of nothing, we'll see what everybody else is saying in chat. No, she says it's fine. Okay. I wanted to show you guys. I stumbled on a Twitter thread this morning that made me laugh so hard, and you'll probably come across it in your own thing. But, you know, often when I'm starting this show, one of the biggest places, to get metaverse, crypto, whatever news is Twitter. It is. So often I have to go there. What about the Fediverse? You know, I don't really have a lot of opinions on it. I think it would be the logical sort of connection, right? If we want decentralized nodes for our crypto and for our social spaces, wouldn't we want a federated social platform? Wouldn't we want our own, Fediverse? That I'm interested in. Wouldn't we want that for our next version of Rocket Chat or our next version of Twitter? Like, wouldn't I want something like Mastodon or whatever? And the answer is they just never took off. And why is that? And it's the same thing with Hive. Why hasn't Hive-based social media taken off the same way? These are the questions that we have longed for answers to. And this is not the show to get into that. I tell you what. So anyways, I told you guys I wanted to share you a tweet because it just came up while I was looking for other stuff. This came up. This is the best thing ever. The Oklahoma Department of Wildlife Conservation made a tweet that was basically making fun of, if you've seen it, it's about pets, right? And you're saying, hey, you know, even though if you're cold, they're cold, bring them inside. And so they made this stupid tweet about not a house cat. And they're like, you are cold, they have fur. Do not let inside. Don't let a puma inside your house. Don't do it. It's a bad idea. Don't let a mountain lion into your house. And the amount of people who are like, well, it's cute and it's cute and I want to. Well, whoever's running this account, this Oklahoma Wildlife Conservation account, is sassing people via GIF in the chat, and a lot of it is like Parks and Rec related. So they're basically answering everybody who's like, I'm gonna fucking let that cat in. I'm gonna pet it. They are sassing them with Nick Offerman GIFs, and this thread is delightful. Does it have anything to do with anything? No. Is it hilarious? Yes. And it's so funny if you go through the responses. You know, somebody's like, if I'm ever killed by a mountain lion, just know my last words were here, kitty, kitty. And, you know, it's a picture of Ron drinking and being like, God help me. It's awesome. And all of their tweets since then have been meta. They're now tweeting memes about the fact that the entire internet is losing its shit about the fact that they said you can't bring a mountain lion into your house. And it's getting more and more and more meta. And it might be one of the most hilarious things I've ever seen. So this has nothing to do with CyberBuzz. Absolutely zero to do with CyberBuzz. But it brought me so much, so much sort of delightful, delightful joy that I thought I would also share with you. And then somebody immediately answered with a picture of them washing a mountain lion in their bathtub. So it's going downhill really quickly, and I thought I would let you guys in on the dumpster fire. Any update on the Kickstarter from last week? Ah, yes, our good buddy. No, I never went back to look. We should probably look. What was that? What was it even? So let's look up on Kickstarter. Will it come up? It will. The VR saddle. Let's see what our buddy has done in the last week, since, you know, important things. He now has $6 Canadian. I believe he had $6 last week as well. And I don't think no, he doesn't even have any new, this is sad. He doesn't even have any new comments. Nobody even wants to battle roast him. I feel bad for this guy. Maybe you guys should go and Maybe you guys should go back to the VR saddle and get in a roast battle for $1 with him. Shadows Pub says he's going nowhere fast in that saddle. Nah, 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 nah. That's atrocious. That's bad, and you should feel bad. Boo this woman. Boo this woman. Okay, so we're coming up to the end of the show. I'm not going to have time to sneak in another song. I got a couple of sleepy dog butts behind me. We've talked about a bunch today. I hope you guys had a lot of fun. I hope that some of these topics were interesting to you. And in the coming weeks, I think we're going to do another deluxe interview, because I know that was really fun and everybody really enjoyed that. And we were talking with Steve, and at the time he was down in South America, and there were, he was talking about some of his plans for deluxe, and we've come a long way since then. So I got a lot of stuff coming up. I will be doing some conference speaking in the coming weeks, and there's more exchange stuff, and I don't know, man. I don't know. CyberBuzz is this constantly evolving animal, but what I can promise you is that if you keep coming back every week, I will have some good music. I will have some interesting / bizarre / not at all interesting topics, but you keep coming back anyways. I encourage it. Do that. Otherwise, if you want to hang around, MSP Waves has a pretty full schedule on Saturdays. So if you want to know what else is happening today, you can go to mspwaves.com, and you can check out some of the other shows tonight, because we have Loud and Proud, we have Coffee and Philosophy. There are lots of things all week, lots of shows. Many of you know this, but hell, I gotta do the repping. I will see you guys next on Thursday for Full Force Radio, Friday if you're somewhere else in the world. And I guess technically I'll see many of you hopefully on the 26th, which is Wednesday. I will see you on the 26th for that conference. Otherwise, I promise I will record my talk and I will make it available here on this channel, wherever it is you're watching now. But with that, I have to get going. I think the dogs are okay enough that we can go for a walk, but I'll miss you. See you later in the week. Okay, bye.